Hello to all the Atlanta United fans. My name is Jurgen Damm, and you are watching Scarves and Spike, an Atlanta United podcast.
Scarves and Spikes match review podcast. As we look back at Atlanta United's goalless draw against DC United. Sydney and Tyler with you. Henry maybe in a little bit. Tommy is celebrating his anniversary, possibly, maybe. We've pinned the call to him, and well, not the call, the text, but
as if it were the bat signal.
The bat signal. Get in here and do the show with us. I just got a text from Tommy. Tommy has some comments he wants to make, so we're gonna get the link to him. This is kind of off script. He was out for his anniversary with Tina, which is actually on Monday, but apparently he wants to cook. So while we wait for that, any initial the match, Tyler, the match against DC United in one word, just one word, if you were to describe it.
Aimless.
Aimless. I'm gonna say blah. Blah.
That's a good one.
Aimless, blah, boring, lifeless, flaccid was the word I think that
that's a little bit of ED going on there, yeah, maybe.
but end of the day,
no blue pills for these guys.
Yeah. No, but we kind of had an inkling, and we're just waiting for Tommy to get in here. Maybe Henry as well. We just had an inkling, Tyler, that this match, there would be chances would come in this match, few and far between. And ultimately, either team gets a shot on goal. Both teams get a shot on goal. XG is 0.8 to 0.7 in favor of DC. And it's just, it's just boring and flat and just, I don't know. It's just they got a clean sheet, which is good. They didn't concede, which is good. But I mean, you take the small victories as you can, but nothing in the attack really.
No,
the shot you do get is kind of
that was a shot.
Weird. Yeah, it's kind of a weird ball that somehow gets through to Brazza, the DC United keeper. But yeah, I mean, it's just more of the same from Atlanta United. Attacking wise, that is.
Yeah, soccer's such a weird thing because at times being on the road, getting a clean sheet, even if it's a 0-0 draw, that's a win in a lot of places. But that is not. I mean, yeah, but that's not where it's at right now. This team needs wins, and are we at the point where you say the season is shot? No, not mathematically, but you're getting close. You're getting close. And it's nobody's fault but the team's, period. And you go out and you look aimless, you look lost. Nobody seems to know what everybody else is doing and or wants to do. You have some standout individual performances, for most of the match, and I think that's great. We'll talk about those. But like as a team, this team does not look like a team that is teaming with anything other than crap.
Right.
And it's frustrating. And it's just, we throw around these words like culture and leadership and vibes and camaraderie and cohesiveness and everything else. It's just not there. It's not building. It's not, I don't see progression, and I haven't in a while. And I think that was the one thing that we could hold on to at the beginning of the season. And I said it on the website, on here, everything. I was doing articles, everything. Like, I see what Ronny Deila is trying to do, going back to the very first preseason match and matches, Chattanooga, Birmingham, all that. I saw the things that were wrong. Ronny Deila literally would tell you what was wrong, and then the next game you would see progression. And then once we got about 3 games into the regular season, that kind of stopped.
But why?
I don't know. if I knew, I'd be making a lot of money right now. But it's so frustrating because it's like, yeah, like you got a clean sheet. That's great. But you have $50 million worth of attacking power up top and you can't score goals. Don't forget, score goals, man. Anybody can take a shot. Take a freaking shot, dude. Like, why are we against one of the other worst teams in the league not just testing the goalkeeper some?
Cleek had space. For example, Cleek had the ball. He had it in space and kind of fluffs his lines, but I mean, it's not a striker, but you still have to get a better shot on that than you did. So that's just one example that comes to mind right now. But yeah, challenge the keeper, Barraza, challenge him. You know, you can't score unless you shoot the ball. I mean, unless it's an own goal, but generally you can't score if you don't shoot the ball in. You know, you're only getting one shot on target. You're not challenging the keeper at all. 7 shots, 3 of them in block. Whether they hit the target, it's not good enough. And you can talk about fire the manager, fire Garth, fire everybody. I've said it before, I'll say it again. These players need to take some ownership of what they're doing. Garth Lagerwey can't go down there and put the ball in the back of the net, defend, attack, create chances for your forwards. Ronnie Dyla can't do that. It's up to the players, and it's sort of chicken and egg because, yes, Garth Lagerwey is responsible for bringing these players in. Chris Henderson is responsible for bringing these players in. But, I mean, he's only just been with the club for a few months. But you have to – I don't understand. I just don't understand. And it's just more of the same. And, you know, we got a comment on X. You know, you guys, hey, we're here, you know, win, lose, or draw, Vic or then. But it's been more than Vic. More lows rather than highs at this point, Tyler. It's just incredibly frustrating, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going anywhere, right? Like this is
we'll be here regardless.
But God, man, like you just keep thinking like at some point things are going to turn around, and it has not happened yet. And I just think it's a little embarrassing when you look at kind of the performances that 11 guys will go out there and give. When it's one thing to just get beat, or and I know they didn't get beat, but it wasn't a win, and it was probably one of your best opportunities for a win that you're going to have for a minute. You go out there and you
something else.
I know, but you go out there and you just look again aimless. You look lost. There doesn't seem to be a really, really cohesive identity in this team. And still. And
21 matches into the season.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get Tommy in here in one sec. But I don't know. I said it on my article. I say it all the time. I'm never going to judge these players, motivations and everything else. That's their thing. I think it's completely wrong to sit there and try to judge these guys and Monday morning quarterback what might be going on in their personal life and everything else. However, this is your job. This is what you're there for. Yeah. This is your craft. And as somebody who feels like you should focus on doing your best to master your craft day in and day out, I don't see that being exuded on the pitch during competitive Atlanta United matches. I don't. Now, where the disconnect is, I don't know. Yeah. But there's plenty of blame to go around, and I really think it can go towards everybody. But the players have got to step up and play a better game than they've been playing.
No, absolutely. We'll get back to the match just real quick, and we'll let Tommy in here. But Tyler, we have to mention the situation with Stefan Frei taking a massive shot to the head. Unfortunately, during the Seattle Sounders match earlier against the Columbus Crew, the match actually had to end a few minutes earlier than planned, but it just didn't look good from what I saw, and he was motionless on the pitch. Exhibited signs of a concussion, had to be taken off in an ambulance, and the match ended a few minutes earlier, like I said. So Frei, one of the top keepers in the league, one MLS veteran, class player, class individual, the work he does in the Pacific Northwest. And of course, there's always that connection between Atlanta and Seattle, so our thoughts and prayers to him for a speedy recovery, and we hope for the best for him.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Definitely praying for him because it's not. I mean, it sucks, man. That's two really bad injuries that we've seen over the past couple, 24 hours almost. I mean, you go back to Jamal Musiala and the Bayern Munich game, terrible injury. This happens, and in a way, this is one of those, in my opinion, that's a little scarier because you just anytime it comes to head injuries, you never know. But hopefully everything is okay. We've seen way worse, and people come out of it perfectly fine, and then you pray that that's what happens with Stefan Frei. I remember watching like a random La Liga match a couple of years ago, and these two guys, Bundesliga match, and these two guys on a corner, goalkeeper and one of the players head to head. I mean, entirely bonked heads, and dude hit the ground and he looked dead.
Yeah.
And it was like 10 minutes of the same thing that happened with Stefan Frei. They take him off the ambulance, and then about an hour later, he's up, he's good, and it turned out to be perfectly fine. So you hope that's what happens here, but scary nonetheless. Definitely praying for him.
No, definitely. Absolutely. All right. We'll get Tommy in here. And Tommy, according to his text to us, said he wants to cook. So happy anniversary, Tommy, first of all.
Thank you.
Second of all, cook. What do you want to say?
Are you cooking about the U.S. or Atlanta United or both?
The U.S. game. I mean, that was something. Look, I've been watching a lot more MLS because Atlanta United hasn't been very exciting to watch here. I watched a Montreal team that is one of the bottom team in the league, or one of the two. Did the Galaxy pass them? I don't know if that win. I think they might be a point apart. Anyways,
2 points back, LA.
Okay,
so.
They played a more competitive game against Miami than we played against DC.
Well, I don't know about that. They lost 4-1.
Oh, I watched that game.
At least they scored against Miami. Well,
Messi passed it, but at least they looked like a team that could play soccer. And I can't believe I tweeted it yesterday. Like, it is so rough to watch this team. I don't mind watching a team that loses, that can, like, what's the dumb thing that they keep saying is like, I'd rather lose a game 4-3 than lose a game 1-0. We're not getting 4-3 losses. We're getting 0-0 shit. It is terrible. The quality of these games of watching Atlanta United play, whoever it is just absolutely terrible. Now you had those two games at home at the end there where it was like, okay, this is fun, and there was a lot of chaos in there. And before we did the preview of the game yesterday, Sydney, you said it's probably going to be a 1-0 game. And I said, well, I'm hoping for chaos, like 4-3 or 3-2. You won. You absolutely won.
That's a little bit closer.
But everybody lost. You won,
I don't feel good about
it. Lost. It was so bad. And look, I heard what you just said, Tyler, about the players and what they have going on, but it's almost all the players on this team here. And what it all comes down to me is that I just think that there's no way that Ronnie can come into the season next year as the manager. I see MLS moves constantly talking about the Galaxy coach. I'm seeing LAFC people obviously frustrated, wanting to change it now, to maybe try to get a spark for the rest of the season here. I just don't know how, with the roster that you have given him, and this is what you see, where there's no identity at all, just absolutely none, that you can keep him going on to next year. Now you can make some changes. Like if they're saying we're keeping him until the end of the season, that's it. We're not firing him here. You could get a couple of players coming. Obviously, they're being active in this transfer window, but if it stays the same, I don't know how you can tell the fan base that we are fine with what happened this year, and we're blaming the players on it and not the manager.
Well, quick time out here. I mean, you're saying you don't.
I don't want time out.
Well, hold on. You're saying Dyla doesn't coach next year. You have to look at the roster. You have to look at the number of players that are purportedly coming in, the number of players that are in option years, out of contract. So I think the conversation will be, here, Ronnie, you have a whole new set of players that fit the style of play that you want to play, versus sack him and go into another managerial search. Because Garth Lagerwey said a few weeks ago, or I would say, a couple of months ago, Ronnie Dyla's job is safe. And I think it is safe until 2026 or beyond 2026 because you'll have a lot new players, hopefully. And you're shaking your head no, but I think you give him that benefit. Bring in players that fit his style, his system, his philosophy.
What is his style, Sidney?
Well,
what is his philosophy?
I mean, I feel like we've heard it, but at the same time, the players that are on this roster, very few of them have been signed, under his guidance. So a number of these players are holdovers from the previous regimes, if you will. So I feel like he deserves that at least. And then if things continue to go south early in 2026, of course, you have no choice but to cut bait. But you have an opportunity when the season ends to really turn over the roster again. I know we've been waiting years for this to happen, but you have this opportunity to turn the roster over and again bring in players that fit the supposed system that you want to play if you're running Dialer.
I don't. I get what you're saying, but this is going to be real bad. This is Garth Lagerway's legacy here. If you bring him back and next season you go into the same thing, but like
I agree.
I get what you're saying, but like we said this before the road trip started. What if he doesn't win a single game? Now he got a gift. He got a gift. He did not have to play Miami. Okay,
Yeah.
because that was the embarrassing game that they gave Montreal. Even though I thought Montreal looked good at times during that game, that was the embarrassment that I thought Miami was going to give us as a screw you for kicking us out of the playoffs. We are going to destroy you 5-0, 6-0, and call it a day. We're lucky that he didn't get. Ronnie's lucky that didn't happen to him. Okay, because you just had an embarrassing 3-3 or 4-1 Columbus game, 3-1 Columbus.
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Yeah.
So you already had that
3-1.
one embarrassing loss.
True.
And then you avoided that. Then you went into this DC game, which I almost think is just as embarrassing of a loss because you just look so lost in this game here against two teams that concede a decent amount of goals that they both just didn't look right. And now you're going to Toronto, they had one good game a couple of weeks ago. But if you lose again or you do another 0-0 draw in Toronto, what is Mercedes-Benz Stadium going to look like? The Chicago game, look, it's a midweek game. We know the attendance is always bad, but the game following that, I don't remember who it is.
It's Charlotte,
which is your rival. Rival.
Well, let me get. I want to hear what Tyler has to say about it. I mean, Tyler. I've kind of said, you bring Dialer back 2020. You bring Dialer back 2026. Tommy says you don't. I mean, what are your views? I guess. Do you cut bait or bring him back 2026 with a completely remade roster? And
I think it's hard to justify keeping anybody who has had such a terrible season, considering all of the tools at his disposal. I think I would not be shocked. Yes, Miggy's still top 3 winger. I would not be shocked if that were the route that was taken. And it's not like we don't know the points and counterpoints here. I mean, Atlanta United has been stuck in this weird purgatory cycle of you get the right players with the wrong manager, then you bring in the other manager who then doesn't have the players available that he needs, but then he sucks. So then you bring back in the players and it's just this back and forth and you never get anybody in place in time to let the manager pick and at least have a say in those that he feels will be successful for his style and make the team. However, give me one coach in MLS or otherwise that would look at the roster that Atlanta United has built for 2025 and say, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that roster. This roster is too good to be sitting in 14th or wherever we're at in the East. It's too good. It's on all of them.
So what if they bring a new manager? We see the same things happen again. I mean, what do you say then? I guess.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong to do either. Right. I'm just saying that it wouldn't surprise me if they did. I mean, the thing is, like, I think in this situation, though, you're in a position where you're much better off than you were, let's say, in 2021 when you let Heinze go.
Right.
And the roster was like, well, there's a lot we could fix here. You're coming off the COVID year, right? You're coming off the crap that was all that.
Yeah.
And then you bring in Heinze, and he's like, all right, I'm going to try to do what I can and forget the whole water thing. But he gets fired after what, 11 games, 13 games?
Something like that.
So, but the roster was not that great at the time. Now you're here where I think on paper, you have one of the best rosters in the league. No, I don't think anybody's arguing that. So, I mean, why not expect something more from anybody that could come in and take the reins and make this team better than the sum of their parts? Because right now they're way less than their parts. Like, they're not even playing to the baseline at this point. Not even close.
But, give me one reason why he should stay.
But you bring in a new manager. I mean, it's going to take how long for him to get this team to gel under his system? So that's one thing. Here you are. You have what? How many matches left, guys? You have 13 matches to go. How many matches? Or I'm sorry, 14 matches to go. It's going to take him a few games. Whoever they bring in to get this players to gel, train differently, play differently, just do different things. And that's not going to take one or two matches. It's going to take several matches. So when we get 5 matches down the road under a theoretical new manager, you're going to be further behind the table, further behind the 8 ball, and pretty much your playoff hopes will be up in smoke. I mean, what good does it?
The season's over, Sydney.
No, it's not.
The season's oh, yes, it is. This season is over.
14 matches to go.
Yes, it's over. I'm sorry. I watched that game against DC United, where they look completely lost.
Whose fault is that, though? Is that Dyla's fault? Whose fault is it?
Do you think Rob Valentino would have more points in this season with this team?
I don't know. We can't talk about Valentino. Valentino's not here.
Well, we're in hypothetical land right now.
Yeah.
We're near the bottom of the table, and I absolutely, and Bruno's probably high-fiving his newborn right now that I said that, because I tried not to bring up. I think it's the first time I personally brought up Rob Valentino here. But right now, I can see anybody right now do a better job with this team. And like Minnesota United, what was it? Was it last year? They didn't have a coach to start the year. He came in and immediately made them good. No, he came in last year.
That's last year.
Okay, maybe
last year.
Okay. All right.
Like I don't think it's impossible, but I just don't see that I don't see how this team all of a sudden comes together when your DPs have, like, Miguel Almiron has looked mediocre most of the season. Lafayette looked good for a very short amount of time. And since then, he's been getting opportunities and just missing. Miranchuk has had his moments, more down than up, but there was a 3-4 game period where he looked okay. But everything else here has just not looked good. And I'm just done. After that game, I just said this is not going to work with Ronnie. He's had short-term spans with teams across his career. He's not lasted long, from what I remember, and I just don't see him next year. And someone brought up ticket renewals. I said this on Spaces. I probably said it with Gray last week. Ticket renewals are coming up. We know the chaos that happened last year with that. The protests outside of the stadium, inside the stadium, talking about the price increase. If they increase the prices, and you also on top of it say, Ronnie is safe. He is safe going into next year. We are going to fix the roster around them. I'm sorry. I don't think that's going to go over very well with the fans.
So who cares? Who cares? Like, I mean, yes, the fans put butts in seats, they buy tickets, obviously, but what good does it do to fire Ronnie Deila at this point in time? If
Maybe
they
they
bring
were.
in if they bring a new manager, what if the team continues to play poorly? What do we do then? Which was just my question.
Well, I think the problem is, and what ultimately I think a lot of fans are going to look at as a deciding factor in their opinion, not that they're making the cut or not, but it's that, do you see any progression at all in this team this year? And I don't think anybody can say that you do. It'd be one thing if I think that's maybe a lot of the reason why Pineda was here as long as he was, because it was like not great, but then you'd have a little streak, just enough to hold on to, and then it would be mediocre again. And then of course you had the injury year, so whatever, throw that one out. Here it's like it started off, in what, Chattanooga, where we had players not talking to each other. And then Deila's like, what are we freaking, why are we passing the ball backwards so much? And then we progressed for about a month and a half. And then it's just been a decline really ever since. You've had some good things in there. You had the New York City come from behind miracle that probably shouldn't have happened. You had the 2-game win streak at home. But that's
which
not
took
enough.
a lot of chaos in those games as well.
Sure.
Well, that's the thing. There's not been a convincing win this season that makes me feel like, all right, Atlanta dominated this game from start to finish. And yeah, you can't have that every match, but it's got to have, like, with the amount of money and resources and everything else that you put into this team, it's got to happen more often than not. You need to have, especially at home, those convincing wins, the clean sheets with 2 or 3, maybe 4 goals. Like, you have to have those. And the gritty wins are fine too, but right now you're really not getting any of that. You're getting below mediocrity. And I hate to be this negative about the team, but that's where they're at. And I know it frustrates Ronnie Deila. I've talked to him. I know how he feels. He gets frustrated at the freaking players in the same way that we do, the same way the fans do. They get frustrated because it's just not clicking for some reason. And it's like banging your head against the wall. Why can't we do this the way that we want to do it?
Where's the ownership? Where's the ownership in the locker room to play to the standards that Lady United needs to play to?
I don't disagree with you. I think the players have to stand up too. And I think it kind of goes back to that, like, look, Brad Guzan can't be the only consistent leader in that locker room. And I feel like
I hate our chef.
At some point,
I hate the leadership.
Right. Somebody's got to step up though. And you see
outside the home
trying to do it in some of these videos. Yeah, right. Besides Noah Cobb. And but it just look, the culture, the culture's not there either.
It's
not there.
Yeah, it's a valid point. That's a valid point.
And to hear people closely associated with this team essentially saying they go to work and go home and never speak to each other is highly alarming to me. It's highly alarming to me because, like, one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to professional sports is you are there and seeing these teammates more than you see your freaking family.
Yeah.
If you don't like them, you better get to like them and at least coexist together in a way that where you can be successful and make each other better at your job. Make each other better. Even if you don't like each other on a personal level, you need to be doing stuff together. You need to have that camaraderie to where you can build something on the pitch. I don't see that now, man. I don't see the guys that act like they're having a good time together off the pitch. I mean, you saw it a little bit with like Muyumba and Silva when Silva was here. I mean, you see it a little bit with Mateusz Klich and Bartek Slisz to a degree, but there's just not that cohesiveness and camaraderie. It's just not there. I don't see it anywhere, and it's just disappointing.
And again, just real quick, I think we're all kind of saying the same things, and Tommy yelled at me over my take, but yeah, it just we all want the same thing. We all want this team to be good, and I think we're of definitely differing minds of what we think about Deila, what we think about his tenure here, what we think about his long-term future with Atlanta United. Garth Lagerwey and all of that. At the end of the day, the players, need to take ownership regardless of who the manager is, because like I said, the manager doesn't put the ball in the back of the net. The manager doesn't run out of the field. The manager can't show effort on the pitch for the players. The manager can only, essentially help the team during training, train the team well, train them to defend, attack, the intricacies that each team brings out to you. What I'm hearing is what happens on the training pitch, what happens on the actual pitch in matches are 180. And that's the alarming thing to me. And I think that I disagree. The season's not over. At the same time, you're 14 matches to go. You need to have some kind of spark here before you're completely snowed under. And, we can say fire the manager. I just don't know if that's the right call at this time. And I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the future, but I just don't know if it's the right call at this time. But I
apologize for yelling at you. I do apologize. I apologize. I forgive. I'm very emotional when it comes to this. Real quick, Cindy, I got to give you my final thought, and I got to go.
Yes.
I would just say that Zilf put in the comments, Ronnie hasn't lasted a year in his last 3 jobs.
Yeah.
That's a conversation that really needs to be talked about. We don't know why he left his last job. There was obviously a lot of questions about that. But and Connor, no, we can't fire the GM. He's only worked here for like 2 weeks. He hasn't really had a chance to do anything.
Right.
Garth Lagerwey is not the general manager. I feel like I'm on fire right now, or Kane.
What's I said? You like
Tina lit the lights out. I feel like Kane's about to come out.
Yeah.
My God, it's Kane. Yeah, I'm fired up, as Tina said. So that's more just Jesus Dominus Genius. I think I just don't think that this is the right call at the end of the year. If things don't get better, now it could, like you said, Sydney, it could. The changes of personnel can happen. Maybe it gets a little bit better. How many home games do we have left? Does anyone know how many?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I know there's probably more than road games, obviously, because of what's happened in the past month here. But if this continues at home, that's where you got the real problem.
7
7 home games.
7, yeah.
I don't think you need to, in my personal opinion, he needs to win at least 3 or 4 of them to be able to keep here next year. Well, to stay for next season.
Oh, to stay.
Because when it's on the road, like, it's social media that's bad. But when you're bad at home, that's when the boos happen, and that's when it's empty in there. And that's really what you don't want your franchise to be having is your team getting booed off the pitch, your players getting booed off the pitch. So he's got an opportunity here after Toronto to have a homestand here. He did win his last 2 home games. There were some pretty crazy games in both of those. If he can at least get this team playing well at home, I think that calms everyone down a little bit. But that's right now, I don't know if he can do that. We'll see.
It feels like ages ago, the last home match was on May 28th against Orlando City. It feels like forever ago.
I tweeted that last night.
It's been a long season. Go ahead, Tyler.
And somewhere in there, we lost the game to New York City 4-0.
We'll forget about that one.
I do agree, though. I think I really I like Ronnie Deila. I do. I think he's a great guy, and I kind of said the same thing about Pineda. The guy seems like he wants to take ownership and fix it, but it's not happening. It's just not happening. You're not seeing it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like I said, there's blame to go around. This is a results-based business, period. And when you look at the way that this season has gone so far, this is the worst by far that Atlanta's ever had.
Yeah.
You're 13th place, 18 points. That's crazy. 18 points out of 20 games.
Incredible.
That is bad. That is a bad team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other sugar-coated way to put it. That's a bad team. That is, and again, I always look at it. You're 2 places out of what would essentially be the relegation zone. You're 3 points out of it. If this were any other league in the world,
we have someone in our Discord making a wooden spork.
Unacceptable.
He made a wooden spork. I'm proud because I created the spork. But I mean, that's how people have. I mean, that's how people feel right now, and it sucks. Like, and like, just real quick, and then I'm gonna click leave, not end, leave. None of this is personal. Like, I know that some people, when they say get rid of the manager, get rid of the player, like that it's personal. Unless the player is talking crap about the team and wants to, talk about leaving on social media all the time. I'm mascara. Sorry, got a cough here. I don't hate Ronnie. I think he says the right things. Like, I like what he's saying, calling the team out, all of that. It seems like a nice dude. It's just not working. And that's just how I feel. So thank you for letting me call in to vent. Sydney, once again, I apologize for yelling at you. I will send you a card or get Jurgen Damm, get you a Jurgen Damm cameo.
Another cameo.
To apologize.
My son sent me a message and said, I think Tommy's about to summon the final boss.
So I know, Tommy, you got to bounce, but I mean, it's passion. It's passion between the three of us. So I totally get it. And, we're friends, and, friends sometimes think it, but like I said, we all want the same thing. We all just want this team to win. We all want this team to succeed. Selfishly, it helps us when the team succeeds.
As the in-betweener here, I didn't think either one of you were actually.
No, yeah.
I think
I was giving Tommy a hard time.
Pissed off about the way that this team is playing right now.
It was, but
hey,
it's
let's
go. It's only going to get more emotional as we keep going here. If we endure another 0-0 game in Toronto, and if one player leaves their visa at home, done. We're done. We're done.
You know what? No, do it, because then they go on to win MLS Cup somehow. So.
Good night. Happy MLS Monday Eve to all those that celebrate. Good day.
Thanks, Tommy.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. See you soon.
See ya.
As Tommy goes to play with his Ouija board and fire in the background.
You wanted some good news, though, Tyler?
Yes.
Yeah. Efrain Morales had a really good game. And Henry and I talked about it during 3 takeaways after the match.
Continues to be befuddle Christian Benteke.
So someone posted on X to the Scars and by the way, scarsandspikes.com has our LA United coverage. We're on social media, or there's a link to our store as well. Go to our store, buy some Scars and Spikes merch. Patreon.com/scarsandspikes. Starts at $1.17 a month. Help support our coverage. We're on social media at Scars Alert and Spikes on X. Scarsandspikes.com on Blue Sky. I'm at SH Wrights on X. SidH.soccer on Instagram. Tyler's at ATL Program, all major social media platforms. Tommy is at Tommy ATL 96 on all social media platforms. And I think that's it. I think I got it all. Anyway. Efra, another great game, and Dyla said after the match he played like a man, and I agree. He had the yellow, and Efra said, "Look, I didn't want to get the yellow."
I love that yellow.
He said, I wanted to show that I want to be aggressive, and this is against the Golden Boot winner last year, and I just love that. I wish we had 11 Efras on the pitch for Atlanta United last night. Or against DC. It's just, you need that passion, you need that determination. And yeah, he got the yellow, and yeah, he maybe toed the line just a little bit. Later on in the match, nearly got a second, but I thought he played well with the yellow despite the yellow.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking at the the FOTMob ratings because again, we love comparing to FOTMob, and our articles are on FOTMob, so that's always cool. Christian Benteke tied for the lowest FOTMob score on DC United yesterday. Guess who had one of the highest ratings?
Well, Morales
for Atlanta United.
7.1,
and he actually tied with Will Riley and Luis Abram. The only one that had a higher rating was Brad Guzan.
What did Efren come out at 7.1 or something like
7.4?
That sounds about right.
Which is solid. I mean, that's a good rating on FOTMob.
Why can't all Atlanta United players play that way though, Tyler? Why is it always the homegrowns? Why is it Efra? Why is it Will? Why is it Noah? Why is it not, Miggy? I'll throw him out there. Why is it not Latte Lat? Lennon, Saba? Why is it not players like that are, playing 7, 8 out of 10? You didn't need 10 out of 10 football to win against DC. You need like maybe a good 7 or 8 out of 10. You couldn't even do that outside of a handful of players, outside of arguably your homegrowns, Will and Efra. Lennon, I will say, had a decent to disappointing game. At least he got some opportunities in the box. Proto Amador, I think, one of his worst games in the Atlanta United uniform. But Efra Morales definitely stood out to me.
For the eye test, yes. FOTMob disagrees, but I agree.
No, but Efra, I think, is your man of the match for Atlanta United. Really for, well, I was going to say for both sides, but certainly for Atlanta United. And it just shows guys like they need playing time. You have Mihai, which, we haven't seen how he plays, but, does he block the progress of a player like Efra coming up, a player like Noah coming up, guys like that? Abram, we assume, will be gone in 2026. What's the move with Efra? How do you get him playing time? Do you loan him out? Do you start him next year? I don't know if he's maybe starting quality. I will say it looks like he's kind of leapfrog Noah Cobb on the depth chart at this point in time. But another terrific performance all in all by Efra is my point. And hopefully we see more of that. Hopefully we don't just see Efra playing that well. Hopefully we see the entire team playing well.
Yeah, but I mean, I was going to use the exact words that Jack and Gray said. I mean, they're hungry. I think you see that, and I think people, I don't know why, but I think people in soccer, Connor Togashi is injured, unfortunately, but he's another one I would love to see. I think the word hunger is really underused in soccer because I feel like when you have somebody who is either A, desperate and hungry, or B, motivated and hungry, you get some of the most ruthless, relentless mindsets that you'll ever get in a thing in sports. You see that out of the homegrowns because they are thrown into the fire. They play and have played against very tough teams, hold their own. And I mean, Efrain Morales, Noah Cobb, these are kids coming from the USL days of Atlanta United too, as well, to a degree. And those are literally playing against grown men. And they don't know how to not go 60, 100 miles an hour. They just don't know how. And Gray kind of hit on it too, but I think you just have a lot of complacency. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like complacency. It just seems like you've gotten to the point where you're okay. Like the status quo is there. Whether it's I'm getting my paycheck or I'm just comfortable, I'm not being pushed outside of my comfort zone, whatever. It's complacency. And if you didn't have the complacency and you had 11 guys on the pitch that had the same hunger, we would not be having this conversation.
And that's why I feel like you should move more toward building this team around your homegrown players. Certainly, Jay Fortune is ahead of that line. I don't think you sell Jay Fortune. I think Jay Fortune is going to be a building block in the midfield for Atlanta United. Matt Edwards, another player who has played well when he's been called upon. Noah Cobb, certainly. Efra Morales, certainly. Will Riley, maybe not to the point where he can start right away, but another player in your system who has done well when called upon, you're not going to start a whole team of homegrowns, obviously, but look for the players who can stand out for you and, offer just, terrific, offer that play that you need, offer that hunger. That's I feel like that's all I asked. All I want for this team is hunger all the way up and down the roster. It can't just be Brad Guzan. It can't just be Efra Morales. It can't just be Noah Cobb. It can't just be Will Riley. It can't just be those players. It has to be everybody, top to bottom. But then going back to Efra, he said he wanted to set the tone, essentially. And Atlanta United needs more of that. They need more players that want to set the tone, can be ruthless, not reckless, because, it's a little bit of a silly challenge by Efra, let's be fair. But you need more players like that, not afraid to get stuck in. And I don't think you see that with Atlanta United. You'll see a lot of players who want to get stuck in, want to give their nose dirty, who have that bite, that LGP type, that Parky type, that Lorenowitz type. You don't have that on Atlanta United. And, I hope that Garth Lagaway, as he's looking for, these prime age players, he brings in players that have that, because, right now what he's doing is not working.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you my obligatory comparison to 2018, but you have back then you had a mixture, mostly veteran players, or at least guys that have been around the block, right? And you still had your homegrowns, you still had young guys, but the academy was still very young at that point. So you're not really pushing through that many people. I mean, George Bello was really the big one coming through at the time. And you still saw this sense of pride and this sense of we're part of something bigger and we're going to make that happen, make it come to fruition, come hell or high water. That's its own type of hunger. Now you look at most of the guys, right? And it again, not judging the motivation. I'm not, but what I see doesn't give me that vibe. It doesn't exude to me a sense of pride, a sense of like belonging and purpose and fighting for, the badge. Like it doesn't feel that way to me.
No.
And that's that. I think you're going to be stuck in this same exact rut and carousel of debauchery until you
what a word, debauchery.
Until you fix the culture, and that's part of it. These whoever's on this team, I don't care who it is, I don't care what their name is, they have to believe in the project, and it doesn't feel like a lot of them believe in the project right now.
Anyone else stand up to you besides Efra? I mean, I know it's kind of a low bar, unfortunately, but
no.
Will Riley,
Will Riley.
We mentioned him earlier.
Will Riley was a dog again. Give him minutes. Give Efra minutes. Give Noah minutes. I'm not really sure. I've been wanting to ask Ronnie Dyla. It's just the way that the past month or two have gone. It's been very hard to get those minutes and get the training and all that. But it is weird that you're not seeing as many minutes from Noah Cobb. I'm not sure why. But besides that, I mean, I will say I'll give Mateusz Klich a little bit of praise for sure, because I at least felt like he was all over the place, and you didn't see a lot of off the ball movement from a lot of people last night. You just kind of saw statues standing there. But at least Klich was trying to get in people's heads. He was moving around the pitch. He was trying to get involved in the attack. He was trying to make things happen. And I can at least ask for that. But I didn't see that from everybody. And so, everybody else just kind of didn't really stand out for much of anything good for me.
And again, it's just frustrating. Here we go again, talking about another lackluster performance for Atlanta United. And again, yes, they got the clean sheet. And yes, you didn't concede, but you didn't create at all. And, Tommy said earlier, Dyla went to win matches 4-3. I mean, you're not even getting anywhere close to 3. I mean, you'd be fortunate if you get 3 shots on goal in a match at the rate Atlanta United is going. But I mean, you have Toronto coming up. Toronto are kind of hitting the reset button. They let go, or they bought out Bernadette today and Insigne, and they're looking toward the future of what their roster looks like under Jason Hernandez. So interested to see what comes of that match. Another match where two desperate teams going at it, trying to list us off the bottom of the table. And I don't know. I just want to see more than one shot on goal in that one, Tyler. Just create something.
Yeah,
I can't sit there another no.
That shot on goal. Yeah, that shot on goal has got to be a pass, like more than a pass, because that was. And I get it. Saba was in a weird position to take the shot in the first place, but like when that's your only shot on goal for the entire match, and it literally looks like a warm up pass in the lead up to the game, it's like, dude, what are we doing?
I think they felt sorry for Atlanta. They just say, hey, we'll just give him a shot.
Yeah, we'll give that to them.
That's all I got.
That's all I got too, man.
U.S. lost to Mexico. I mean, it's just been a bad weekend for
Bayern Munich lost to PSG. Screw this game, dude. And screw everything about it. It's ridiculous.
Scarsandspikes.com. How many days till the transfer window opens? A week, right? Next Monday.
I know.
July 14th, right?
July
24th. So
24th.
we're still a ways from that. But either way, scarsandspikes.com is where you can find our coverage. Again, Scars the letter and Spikes on X, scarsandspikes.com on Blue Sky is where you can find us. Scars and Spikes on Instagram and Threads, Facebook at Scars and Spikes. I'm at SH Reich on X, SH Reich on B Sky, that's social on B Sky, Sid H Soccer or Sid H.Soccer on Instagram and Threads. Tyler is at ATL Pilgrim on pretty much every single major social media platform. Tommy is at ATL or Tommy ATL 96 on pretty much every social media platform. And Henry is at H.A. Higuita on essentially every major social media platform. That's it, I think.
Tomorrow, MLS Monday, we got a lot to talk about, which will be fun. We got multiple red cards, and again, prayers to Stephen Fry. Hopefully we get some good news for him by tomorrow. But yeah, lots to talk about MLS Monday, and then we're back Wednesday for the regular show. I think.
It's been a long week.
Yeah, it's Sunday night, dude. This feels like Thursday.
Hopefully everyone had a great
of the next week.
Hopefully everyone had a great 4th of July weekend, by the way.
And a safe one for sure.
We practicing good fireworks safety throughout the weekend.
I definitely did not light up little things and throw them in the lake and watch them blow up underwater.
No, you didn't do that at all.
No, I didn't do that.
Not at all.
No, we shot off some. We went to my in-laws' house, and they're on like a small lake, and all the neighbors on the lake shoot off fireworks. So it's just like 360 degrees of explosions.
We went to some friend's house and shot off some fireworks on the street.
It's always a good.
Not quite as exactly. No one got their hand blown off, fortunately, but
yeah.
All right, thanks everyone.
Back it up, put it in the basket.